I'm Uvea. I'm 11 years old. I am almost 12. And the past 5 or so years since I was 6, I've been in foster care and treatment facilities.
Uvea is one of the thousands of kids in Oregon foster care that a lawsuit says have been failed by the system meant to protect them. It's been ongoing since 2019 and just got certified as a class action lawsuit by a federal judge. Katu's Christina Giardinelli joins us live in Salem with the story. Christina, you spoke with one organization that's behind the lawsuit about what this means for children in the system.
Bouncing from one home, one placement to another 50 different times. Mental, emotional, physical abuse, mismanagement of life-saving medication. These are just some of the claims that lawsuit makes. And the federal judge's decision that came in yesterday means this lawsuit now applies to over 5,000 children in Oregon's foster care system. Those behind it say they're not looking for money, they're looking for change.
Disability Rights Oregon and A Better Childhood partnered with Portland law firm to file the lawsuit in 2019. They say they want to give a voice to children like Uvea, who claims she was abused in a group home that Oregon DHS placed her in.
She was sitting on the floor with both her legs faced out, in my hands behind my back, sitting on the floor. She pulled me back and I ended up sitting kind of on her lap.
At just 12 years old, Uvea testified last year in front of state lawmakers about abuses she alleges happened in that facility.
She called me a pervert and a prostitute.
Since her testimony, lawmakers passed a bill that limits which group homes DHS can send foster kids to. But Disability Rights Oregon's Deputy Legal Director, Tom Stenson, says things have not gotten better for kids in the system.
There aren't enough resources. And because there aren't enough resources for children to get the kind of care that they need, the state puts them in any bed they can find.
According to the latest DHS quarterly report, an average of 21 foster kids spent at least one night in a temporary placement from January to May of this year.
For instance, that children get put in hotel rooms, big homeless shelter, or, a refurbished juvenile detention center.
The lawsuit claims the reason children get bounced from placement to placement is that overburdened caseworkers can't take the time to assess their needs before placing them.
The first thing is to know what that child needs and to make that plan. The state doesn't do that. Kids don't develop plans. They don't get evaluated to find out what kind of traumas they've experienced.
Stenson says the legal action aims to create systemic change within that system and give more children like Uvea a voice.
I'm hoping that part of what we're going to see is that foster youth are going to feel empowered, that they're going to feel like they do have room to speak up for themselves.
COVID, vacation, or any other illness, it's the substitutes who come in to keep those classrooms running. And right now, there is a dire substitute shortage in the state of Oregon. This on top of the fact that districts are already struggling to hire full-time teachers. Ahead of the fourth school year impacted by COVID-19, a look back.
We were really struggling last year, especially when we experienced the waves of new COVID-19 variants.
Hillsborough School District Communications Officer Beth Grazer says they did all they could to keep kids in the classroom.
We really had to employ this practice of all hands on deck.
Non-teaching staff, licensed or not, filling in as sick teachers quarantined. This year, to prevent such drastic measures, a boost in building-based subs.
Those are staff that are just on hand, ready to fill any absences that may arise during the day.
The district is nearly doubling this in-house help,
in hopes that we don't have to do so much deployment of central office staff.
This is only one solution. Hillsborough, along with districts across Oregon, will lean heavily on the statewide pool of subs from ESS, or Education Staffing and Management Solutions.
We rely on them quite heavily to provide us with staff that are ready to go.
But even ESS is in a dire situation, still trying to hire 2,500 more substitutes in Oregon. The school year is just days away from beginning. Regional Manager Amy Brusky says it's a shortage like ESS has never seen. The result, inevitably impacting students. Now, you have to put this substitute shortage in context with the teacher shortage. ESS tells me it usually helps fill temporary short-term absences, like for a vacation or a teacher illness. But ESS now says it is trying to help districts fill those full-time positions with substitute teachers. That, of course, is shrinking the available resources for those last-minute absences.
So here's where we ended up, at the corner of 101st and Southeast Division. And neighbors here say they've got all kinds of issues now. Crime, homelessness, and also cars being left on the street, and they're not sure why.
I think they're electric motors.
Yeah. At first it was just an eyesore for Vincent Drennan Jr. Now it's become a big problem, and he's tired of it.
It's usually at nighttime that they do it. This year was broad daylight, they did it.
Drennan has lived here 50 years, since his 9th birthday. But lately, the neighborhood has changed, and now he's finding abandoned vehicles left in front of his home. 3 or 4 just this month. Why are they doing this?
Who knows? A quiet neighborhood, because they can. The cops don't do nothing about it.
On this day, Drennan is trying to figure out what to do about this 2006 Prius that appears to be totaled. Who left it? But it's not just the 3,000 pounds of steel sitting in front of his home that has him irked. He says with the abandoned cars comes more crime.
You gotta chain up your lawnmower nowadays. You used to be able to leave it out here, hedge trimmers and everything. You gotta hide all that stuff. They come and jump over your fence, see what's in your backyard, take what they want, and that's that. Broad daylight they do it.
Drennan says he doesn't call the police. Instead,
But I'll take them down with a baseball bat, I ain't care. You gotta take matters in your own hands. Cops are too busy to come out and deal with you.
across the street, Kevin Haynes is painting his grandparents' home. He sees the abandoned cars too and all that comes with it. He says a call to the city won't likely bring quick results.
We've seen delays of 2 years. We're not seeing anything happen in Portland. I live out in Gresham, and we see a pretty good cleanup out there. They don't let the RVs park for more than 2 weeks, but as soon as you cross 181st, it's cars, homeless, it's all kinds of stuff. And it's pretty sad to see growing up out here.
Back to Vincent Drennan Jr. and that smashed-up Prius. Just like all the other ones, he'll wait this one out. He has no choice. So what are you going to do with it then?
I'm not going to do nothing with it.
So it's just going to sit there?
It'll sit there until they tow it off.